Hey, I just want to say to you, if you're watching, mom or dad, if you're dealing with any type of frustration with your little ones, there is hope. And this morning we're going to be talking with a mom, a great mom, Shyla Brassard, who has gone through quite a journey, but I'm going to let her introduce herself and share a little bit about her and her family before finding Creating Champions for Life. So good morning, Shyla.
Good morning, Bonnie.
Yes, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
All right. Can you share a little bit about yourself and about what life was like before?
Absolutely. I have 4 children, and my youngest is 12, and the other ones are all adults. So I didn't think that the last child was going to give me any troubles because I had been through this before. I knew what I was doing. My son was about 4 when he was diagnosed with ADHD, and I have been through the years trying to fix him, per se. And nothing I seemed to do was helpful. I did parenting courses and had help from mental health. I was doing everything in my power to help this little guy be good. Everything that I thought I was supposed to do. And about a year ago, I had a friend tag me in one of your, I don't know if it was a video or just the group. And I watched for about a month on some videos. And then I thought, okay, this is it. I'm going to make some changes. And what I found was it wasn't fixing Brody. It was fixing me and making myself better and learning that there was other ways. And it's been a rough road. So, but I can see the light. I have seen things happening with Brody that I never thought that I would see. I've been in the program for a year. I can't believe actually tomorrow is like the end of the program type thing. And but to me, I say that because of the program being 12 months, but I feel like it's just a beginning. And yeah, it's pretty exciting.
So describe a scenario. Like I have a video of one of our clients, and she has a scenario where they were having a taco dinner, and one of her kids' taco broke, and you could see him like going to throw a chair at her and throwing the food all over the kitchen. It was just a horrible nightmare. And then 6 months later, it shows him making the tacos and serving it to everybody with a big smile on. So can you describe maybe a scenario that would have happened just even several months ago? I mean, I know you've been in the program. It's been a year. I can't believe it's been a year, Shyla.
I know.
But yeah, it's been quite the transition. So just share kind of like a before, what would happen, and then now kind of what happens. Dinner time or chores or.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has been for changes with me. Like Brody is very slow to the process. And at first it was very hard for me because I wanted it now. I wanted everything to happen. And so it actually caused a lot more issues with Brody. He would be defiant, and he would argue, and he would yell, and pretty much try to leave the house and things like that. And what I'm finding is now I'm not allowing his behavior to upset me, which of course triggers other things. So when I'm talking to him, I'm calm, and like he'll listen to me. He's doing his chores. Not every day is perfect, but it's a simple of us being able to communicate. A lot more of Brody's tantrums and stuff, because he's 12. We're more at 5, 6, 7 years old, and now it's more him just trying to being in control of his life and becoming an adult, right? Just trying to like, look, I don't need you telling me what to do. I can make my own decisions. And of course, that was very hard for me because I was very controlling.
Wow.
So for
Yes.
me, it's nice to be able to not overreact when he does, not do his chores, or he's, you know, not behaving in school or making bad choices. Now I can sit back and calmly talk to him, and that prevents all the big stuff. Like, I'm sure that he would probably, like, he did tend to, like, wreck things, or unfortunately, like stab knife holes in my countertop. Like, that's not happening now. So those are big steps. I'm definitely not done.
Yeah, no, you're just beginning, because here's the thing is, like, if we've been trained, and I know you're not anywhere close to 85, but if for the last 85 to 90 years we've been trained in a certain way, that means grandma and mom were kind of trained in this certain way, where if you did something wrong, we did something you didn't like. And so it's this hamster wheel that we find ourselves getting on. And so it might take 6 months to a year to fix the mindset, to develop new neural pathways. But the thing is, our kids are going to go from 0 to 18, whether we continue on the same path of that. I mean, he used to lock himself in the bathroom with your phone. He'd take your phone. I remember one conversation we were having. So do you find now, because before it was very reactive, Brody didn't do his chores, so then this happened. Do you find that thinking proactively and having plans in place, which is what we teach here at Creating Champions for Life, do you think that having plans in place and being more proactive is helping you with your emotions and being able to stay calm because you see a plan for moving forward?
Yes, I think that it's made a big difference. For me, it comes down to breathing, right? Just those simple things, and just taking a step back. When Brody would, like, we had some issues with him going to school this week. He just didn't feel like going in the morning, and it would be just me guiding him instead of saying, get your butt to school and you don't do this and you don't get that, kind of thing. It was more like, like, what are you choosing to do? Like, what is your goal? Right. And, and even though he might have been late, he still ended up going, where if I, and he would have at least gone and then had a good day. Whereas if I was yelling and screaming at him and saying, you're not doing this, you're not, get up, all that stuff, then it would, his behavior and that bad day, right, would continue the whole day. So, right. I'm trying not to, or I shouldn't say trying, I'm working on not allowing him to not take all my emotions like that. They're my emotions. I don't need to, like, even 4 or 5 months ago, I was crying and couldn't figure out how I was going to do something. Right. And I think that might have been a little bit of a breaking point. September probably was a really big breaking point for me. And even last month, I was still kind of hanging on to a few things, but I don't know what's clicked in the last month or so, but it just feels different. And
awesome. That's the transformation. That's like a caterpillar only knows what it knows, which is crawling around, eating leaves, sleeping, and it needs to go into the cocoon and wrap itself up for the metamorphosis or the change. Right. And then when it struggles through, which is so good, I know you say you have a breaking point, and it's so good that you have your breaking point, because it is the breaking point. That's the butterfly kind of like struggling to get free out of the cocoon. But then when it does, it can fly on its own for the rest of its life. So I'm sensing a whole, different energy. I'm sensing freedom now. I'm sensing that you're looking at your little guy like he's not your little guy, like he's a little human being with goals and desires. And that's so cool that you mentioned the not going to school, because when Jacob was 12 and he refused to go to school, I had tried everything, like cold water, the blanket, we'd taken his blankets away. I tried tickling. I tried yelling. I tried calling grandma and grandpa and dad. I mean, it was crazy. He just refused to go to school. And so I phoned Tom. And if you're just watching this for the first time, Tom's the Creating Champions for Life coach. And so I phoned Tom and I go, hey, my son won't go to school. And he goes, does he have a cell phone? And I went, yeah, he's got a cell phone. He goes, who pays for the cell phone? I'm like, I do. So I automatically knew what to do in that moment. So I was like, Jacob, you have the cell phone, and I'll tell you what, I have my life, my career, you're working on your life and your stuff. So I said, I tell you what, you can choose to go to school or not go to school. This is so counterintuitive, Mom. Like if you're watching this, it's so counterintuitive. But I was like, you can choose to not go to school, but the first day that you choose not to go to school moving forward, you're saying, hey, Mom, I'd like you to take my cell phone for the day. And the second day you're saying, hey, Mom, I want you to phone the phone company and remove my service. Like you won't be able to use your phone for 2 weeks. And then the third day, you're just saying, Mom, I just choose for you to never pay for my cell phone again. Fair enough. And I just got up and walked away, and he went to school every day, and he graduated school, and now he's 22 and he's a supervisor at Costco and the tire. So it's just that it was so simple, way simpler than the months before of trying to drag him out of bed. Right? Yes. Are you noticing that? Like now that your paradigm is shifting, you're like, wow, it's so simple.
Yeah. I used to tickle Brody, and he play this, like, can you find my belly bead with his belly button, right? Like this was like a year and a half ago, right? Like I would do everything. I'd take him, and he'd even lay on the blanket, and I'd drag him from the bedroom out into the living room. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I can't do this anymore. Right. And so, it was simple. It's funny that school had emailed me Friday morning and said, can you talk to Brody about being on time and all this kind of stuff or whatever? And I said, well, I'll discuss with him this stuff. And all I simply did was called him, and I said, what's your goals? Like he pays for his own cell phone. And so I don't have to worry about that. Like if he doesn't, get up or whatever, his goal is Wi-Fi with me. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, you get up and you do your routine, you go to school, you earn your Wi-Fi. And that was a motivation. And I got an email at the end of the day from the teacher. I don't know what he said to him, but he had a great day. So yeah, those are pretty powerful for me.
Amazing. And all you did was, treat him like a little person and go, what is your goal? And then he was internally motivated, which is, we talk about this all the time. So, all right, let's wrap it up. What would you say if you were a mom watching this going, oh my gosh, I've tried everything. I've done everything the therapists have told me, the teachers have told me, I've read all the books. Like you said, you did the courses and everything else. Yes. So what would you say to that mom watching this video right now when it comes to creating champions for life?
Well, I have a very exciting something to tell you as well, Bonnie. Brody's been on medication since he was 4 or 5 years old. And in December, Brody decided that he could do without his medication.
Wow.
And he is no longer on his medication. So it has been crazy. That is my goal. That's been my goal since the day that I didn't want to put him on medication, but did. So my advice to a mother, a father, whoever is, taking care of children, one would be get out of your own way. I was in the way. I was trying to work so hard and it doesn't work. You need to get out of your way. You need to be open. Don't give up. That is something that I can't do. I choose not to do it. I will always be in Brody's corner. And it's pretty powerful because a year ago, there was no way that I would think that he would ever get off his medication. And it can happen, I thank you both for this program and for Melissa because she's the one that introduced me to it.
Wow.
It's been a struggle. I feel like I can actually live and not, be worried all the time. So that's the biggest thing. Just get out of the way.
That is amazing. I am so proud of you and your whole family and Brody. I'm so proud of you guys for
Thank you.
yeah, being willing to get out of the box and try something new and make it through the transition. So, if you're considering this, you're like, what is the transition? Well, the transition, just imagine going to the state of Texas and going, hey, there's no more welfare anymore. And we just stopped sending out the checks. I mean, there would be a little bit of a transition to go through before everybody realized, oh, I can make it on my own, which is what's happening with Brody. So we have neural pathways to create in ourselves. Our children need to develop new neural pathways of worthiness, confidence, life skills in general, negotiating skills, managing emotions, mastering their emotions. Like there's so many changes that that take place when you switch over to the plus versus the plus minus, which is giving them everything up front and then taking it away in control. Yes.
Yes. No more.
Any final thoughts, Shyla?
Just thank you. And good luck to anyone. I wish you all the best. Don't give up.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for doing this with us, and we'll see you soon. Hugs and kisses to your whole family. Love you guys. Okay,
bye.